Let's bring in Jack. And here he is. Everybody unmute. Say thank you. I love you to Jack. Here we go.
Thank you. I love you,
I
Jack.
love you.
I love you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank
It's
you.
unbelievable. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
love you.
Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
Love you, Jack, sir. I love you.
Happy.
Jack.
I love you.
I love you, Jack, sir. I love you.
Happy.
To see you.
Special gratitude towards you.
Wow.
India.
I'm so happy.
In front of
Very nice.
I'm going to put them on mute because trust me, they'll never go silent. They'll keep thanking you. So on behalf of the entire community of Law of Traction community called IMK, which is Indu and Mitesh Khatri, on behalf of Indu, I'm going to bring Indu as well on Spotlight. And here we go. We want to thank you, Jack. Thank you so much, not only for being with us here right now. This is our biggest manifestation come true. 20 years ago when I read the book of the success principles, more importantly, Chicken Soup for the Soul, it was my dream to meet you live, and here you are, part of the community today. I am so excited, and I'm glad that you're going to do a half-a-day special session for Platinum members. But most importantly, thank you for doing this additional bonus session for even part of those people who are not part of Platinum today. So thank you so much, and thank you also for everything you've done for us in the last 20 years. More than that, I know. I've only known you for 20 years, but I know that you've added much more value than that. So thank you so much for everything that you've done. Believe it or not, Indu, me, and every single person over here owe you a lot of many things that we have achieved in our life. We wouldn't be where we are today without the blessings, without the guidance of a mentor like you. So thank you so much. We love you. And everyone, once again, one last time, please unmute and say thank you once again to Jack for not only being the best-selling author of 500 million books sold of Chicken Soup for the Soul and the Success Principles. And his new book is now coming up. I hope everybody knows the name, Living the Success Principles. Everybody unmute, say thank you to him for all that
Thank you
contribution.
and welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
sir.
Welcome.
Thank
Congratulations for
you.
the new book.
Thank
We
you.
love you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God.
Anything you want to say, Indu? And then I'll bring in Jack. Jack, how's the invitation for you? Did you see our members doing daily magic practice, affirmations reading the way you taught us in your book?
Yeah, I was watching people dancing. I thought that Pooja and Anya and all those people, that you got it down, man. So much energy, and that's really what it takes. You know, we have to. Our vibration is the most important thing. How we keep ourselves energized, happy, joyful, grateful, positive expectations. The declarations you were doing. That's so powerful. And one of the most powerful ways to stay in joy is to move, to dance. So right on. That was fun to watch.
Thank you. Do you think they should continue doing daily magic practice every day? Is it a good ritual?
Absolutely. You know, the secret to life is consistency, doing the same thing. And sometimes if you know, a lot of times people do this kind of thing, they meditate, they go to your sessions, etc. And then life starts to work. And it's kind of like, you know, when you if you get sick, you know, and the doctor helps you get better, you take the herbs or you get a medicine or whatever. And then we stop taking it because we feel good. We forget that we have to do that. We forget that we have to do yoga and meditate and stretch and do our affirmations and meditations and all those things. And so the thing that's beautiful about what you're doing is it's community. And when you have a community of people working together like-minded, Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, one of the great classics of all time, said that when you have people working toward the same goal in community, that mastermind, their minds literally start to intersect with each other, and you get the benefit of the whole group, not just you. And there was a guy who studied energy and the power of intention. And he said the power of an intention is the number of people holding the same intention squared. So if 5 people are holding the same intention, the power of that is 25. If 1,000 people, which are on this call, and then we don't know, I saw in the waiting room there was probably another 1,000 that didn't get in.
True.
So 2,000 people holding the same intention of success, that's like 40 million units of intention, if you will.
Never looked
So
at it that way. My God.
Yeah, you're creating something really powerful. So if you're part of it, that'd be like, you know, you're given oxygen lifeline and all of a sudden you say, I feel good, I'm going to detach. Don't do that. Stay
Thank you, Jack.
part of
Thank you.
the community. Yeah.
Thank you for inspiring them for that. Jack, if I may ask you a very important question that I've been dying to ask you for many years, and I think
Sure.
everybody will resonate with that question. And that question is, when I read about your goal and which you ended up achieving, which is selling 500 million books, and I'm sure it's much more than that today amongst all your books together. How did you even cultivate that level of thinking? Like over here, sometimes we are even scared to think that I can write a book, let alone becoming a best-selling author. But you thought about selling 500 plus million books. What gave you that ability to think like that? We really want to know the secret behind that.
Well, there's two realities to that. Number one, I don't think that was my first thought. You know, our first goal was to sell 150,000 books by Christmas. And then we're going to sell 1.5 million books in a year and a half. And then whenever you have a success, what happens, you build your self-confidence. Success is the result, or I say self-confidence is the result of a risk you took that you survived. So whenever we survive a risk, our confidence increases. And so then we set our 2020 goal. We called it our 2020 vision because, you know, with 2020 eyesight, we were playing off that. So what's our goal for 2020? And we said we want to impact 1 billion lives, you know, through books, philanthropy, trainings, television shows, etc. And we achieved that. By then we had sold, I think, 350,000 books.
Wow.
I know in India, the average book is read by more than one person, so we doubled that number. In Iran, which doesn't even honor international copyright law, I got to speak in Tehran, but you have to go through the Pakistani embassy to even get a visa because America doesn't recognize Iran. And I'm speaking there at lunch, and a guy comes up at the lunch and he hands me an envelope with $10,000 in $100 bills in it. And I went, "What? I'm just like a drug deal or something." I said, "What's this for?" He said, "We don't honor international copyright law in Iran, but we've sold so many of your books that we printed. I wanted to give you something while you were here." So there's
Wow.
probably another, 10 or 20, 30 million books sold there. And then, been on Oprah Winfrey show, 40 million people saw that. So
Wow.
we've easily achieved that goal. And I think what happens is you have to think big. One of the people I quote in the Success Principles book is General Wesley Clark, who used to be the head of NATO Allied Forces in Europe. And he said, it doesn't take any more effort to dream a big goal than a small goal. You don't have to scrunch up your face more. You don't burn more neurons in your brain.
Well,
You
that's a good
just
thought.
decide. You just decide. And the universe, as you know, will give you back whatever you affirm and visualize and take action on. And if your beliefs get big enough, and I think, for most people, it's a step up. It's like, I don't think, I started my career teaching high school. So 35 kids in a class, 5 times a day, different kids. But now the largest group I ever spoke to is 10,000 dentists in America,
Wow.
7,000 Herbalife distributors in India. And the last two, I was in India not too long ago, spoke to 3,000 people in one event, 2,700 people in the other event. Well, I would have been freaked out when I was a high school teacher to think I was going to speak to 3,000 people. But what happens is you just keep building that self-confidence. And then eventually I'll tell you a very interesting story. So I always had the goal that I wanted my company to make $8 million in 1 year. That was a goal for a while. And we weren't doing it. We were making like 5 million, 6 million. And so I saw this chiropractor who teaches beliefs and works with limiting beliefs. And he held my arm out and he pushed down on it and he said, "Okay, I want you to say, I can make $3 million a year. I'm great with that. 5 million, great with that. 8 million, my arm went weak." He said, "That's not your team, it's you. You're the one that's not holding that." By the end of that, he had me working. I can make 20 million, 100 million. I get all the money in the world. No one else gets anything. I was still strong. So basically, that little exercise made me realize that it's simply a choice. Belief is a choice. You can choose to believe anything you want. And if you choose it, you can create it.
Wow. Belief is a simple choice. Never looked at it that way. How many of you promise to make a simple choice today to think at the level of which our mentor is teaching us today? Type in IP, I promise, because I don't want you to just go away with knowledge, but take that choice right now to have that level of thinking. Thank you so much, Jack. When you started thinking like this, Jack, and I'm sharing something which happened with me, probably happened with a lot of people. Did it ever happen that when you spoke about such large goals, like impacting 1 billion people, wouldn't some people sometimes discourage you? And how did you feel about that? Because that happens with our community. And I get those questions a lot, that I am thinking big, but my family members think I'm going crazy. How do I handle that?
Well, a friend of mine wrote a book called "What You Think of Me Is None of My Business," which I love that title.
Oh, wow.
And so the idea is you are always going to meet resistance. Think about this. Kites don't fly unless there's the wind's hitting the kite. It's the resistance of the wind that allows it to go up. Same is true with
Whoa.
airplanes. If there wasn't resistance, it wouldn't flow the air under, wouldn't lift the plane. So basically, resistance tells you you're doing something important. Basically, if no one's challenging you, then you're stuck in the norm. And everyone in your program, the Platinum and others, they want to get beyond the norm. The norm is somewhat boring, somewhat not always creating joy and abundance and so forth. So we want to be abnormal. We want to be outside the normal curve, and that's
Wow.
going to be you're always going to have resistance. The key is how are you going to respond to that? And so I respond by saying, thank you for your point of view. And I go and I do what I do. I started the foundation once. My wife said, we can't start a foundation. You don't have that much money. I said, well, thank you for your point of view. And I went and started the foundation. We started doing educational workshops for teachers. We got 800,000 people off of welfare in California with a curriculum we developed for self-esteem and peak performance. That never would have happened if I listened to my wife. So there are always going to be people. And what happens is they want you to stay down where they are because they're living in mediocrity and resignation. And if you go up here, it threatens their beliefs. You're like, oh, well, I'm not good enough. They want to pull you back down to their level so they're not challenged because to get successful, you have to get uncomfortable.
Yes.
You have to get outside your comfort zone. And most people don't want to do that. So they want to bring you back down here so you're not threatening their level of comfort.
Oh, thank you for your point of view. I'm going to use that every day. And I don't know how much Indu is going to like you for that because now I'm going to use it on my wife the way you used it. But I want to share something amazing with you, Jack. Honestly, in my case, I wouldn't be where I am today without Indu. She's the one who actually made me uncomfortable in a good way. She pushed me. She made sure I continued growing. Many of my friends tell me that if I wasn't married to Indu, I would be sitting under a tree giving gyan to people for free.
Mhm.
But I am where I am because of her. So thank you so much. But I'm still going to use this statement. Thank you for your point of view. That is lovely. Thank you so much. Jack, one more question. We have this one membership which we call as Platinum membership, where people join us one time and then we never ask them to invest anymore after that. And the commitment of Platinum membership is something very crazy, which is 10 years of success in 1 year, based on what I've learned from you, based on what I've learned from Law of Traction and many of the other mentors in my life. And whenever we share these kind of crazy goals with people that you can achieve 10 years of success in 1 year, people don't believe in Law of Traction. They're skeptical about these kind of ideas. Could you probably, from your life experience, share one magical thing that you've achieved with Law of Traction, which is so crazy that it could even take the most skeptical person in the world and say, if this can happen, anything can happen in Law of Traction. Do you remember any such story?
Oh yeah, no. My mentor initially, excuse me, was a guy named W. Clement Stone. He was a friend of Napoleon Hill's who wrote Think and Go Rich, and I worked in his foundation for a couple of years. And he taught me many of the principles I still teach today. He believed in the law of attraction. He didn't call it that. He just called it the power of positive thinking.
Right.
And what happened was he taught me to set goals, to do affirmations, to visualize, to take action, on your intuitions and so forth. And he said, I want you to set a goal that's so big that if you achieve it, you'll know it's only because of what I taught you. Now, at that time, I was a high school teacher and I was making $8,000. Yes, 8 with 3 zeros after a year. Today they might make 40,000, but with inflation and all that. But anyway, that was my income. And so I set a goal to make $100,000, which was 12 and a half times more than I used to make. And I thought, this is crazy. And he said, well, just choose the goal and do what I teach you because I want to prove to you it works. So I set the goal and I put a $100,000 bill on the ceiling of my bedroom. Now there's no such thing. Well, there actually is, but only banks can use it. But I took a $100 bill and I projected it onto a big piece of paper. I added 3 zeros on it, drew the whole thing, put it on the ceiling. Every morning I wake up, I go, oh, God is my infinite supply and large sums of money come to me quickly and easily under the grace of God as I earn, invest, and spend $100,000 a year. That was my affirmation. And then I
Wow,
would
that was
visualize
fast.
I would visualize living $100,000 a year lifestyle, but all the things that would entail. And nothing happened for about 30 days. And then I'm in the shower and I have my first $100,000 idea. I had this book called 100 Ways to Enhance Self-Concept in the Classroom. I was teaching teachers as well. And so what happened was I thought, wow, if I could sell 400,000 copies of that book, I'd make $100,000 because I got 25 cents. That was my royalty. Now, I didn't know how to do that yet, but that it was the first idea that gave me a strategy that was doable. So then I started thinking, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I started getting ideas. I could start selling. My wife got this idea with me because we were both doing it. She said, if you were a retailer instead of an author, you'd make $3 a book because that's the retail ups of the price. Now you only got to sell, 100,000,
100,000 books.
120,000. Yeah, exactly. So that was the first breakthrough. So then we started the mail order bookstore. One book, my book. And so then after about 2 months, we went, wow, people are buying this book. What if we had other self-esteem products, for parents, for school teachers, etc.? Long story short, we had a 32 product, 8-page catalog that we started sending out to people. I had to hire high school students to come into my basement and send things out that people ordered. And then the university said, we are running a conference for school counselors. Would you bring your little bookstore over and set it up in the lobby? We made $2,000 profit that week. And I thought, wow, if I do that every weekend somewhere, that's $100,000 a year business. Long story short, at the end of the year, I did not make $100,000. I made $92,325, which was like 12 times more than the 8,000.
Yeah.
And then my wife said, Jack, do you think it would work for $1 million? And I said, only one way to find out. So we created $1 million bill. We had $1 million affirmation, and then when Chicken Soup came out, the third royalty check I got was for $1,135,000. That was for 3 months royalty. That year, my royalties were $6 million. And no one would have predicted that, including my publisher, because you asked about people who, tell you it's impossible. When we finally found a publisher, which we had 144 rejections before we got a publisher that said yes, which is a testament to perseverance. But what happened was, we were meeting with him finally in his office. He said, okay, I'm going to publish a book. We said, how many copies do you think we'll sell? He said 20,000. I said, that's not our vision. 150 by Christmas, $1.5 million in a year and a half. He said, you guys are crazy. I said, no, we're visionary entrepreneurs. This will happen. So we sold 1.35 million by the year and a half. He now owns a $35 million private jet, which he never would have owned if he hadn't taken our book.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm always going to remember, create a goal that you think will never be achieved just to prove that law of attraction works. Wow, this is amazing. How many of you promise to do it tonight before you sleep? Create a goal, write it on your notepads, something that you know is not possible, but you would like to achieve it, just like Jack did. And now let the law of attraction work to prove it to you, it works. And Jack, is it okay if I share the good news with them? Something that worked for me, which I believe is, I would have never thought that it would have happened that effortlessly. Is it okay if I share a story?
Yeah, it's your show. Go ahead.
Okay. It's yours for now, but thank you for the permission. And here is what happened 20 years ago when I read about your book, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I saw you collaborating with multiple authors for the Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I know there's a book in India also that you've collaborated with that topic. So for some reason, I don't know why, I was just talking to Indu one day and we were reading one of the stories from Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I said, Indu, wouldn't it be crazy if we could be part of Jack's book one day? And she said, come on. And instantly she said, but you never know, it's possible. So in our conversation with me and Indu, whenever we want something to happen, we don't say all the best, we say congratulations, it's done. So she kind of gave me a high five and she said, congratulations, and that's about it. And long story short, last 20 years, we've been teaching law of attraction. And for some reason, Indu reached out to you during this time and said, would you be part of the Platinum community for a special workshop for the Platinum members? And graciously, you did agree. And then when we had our first meeting 2 weeks ago to understand what we can cover for the Platinum members, after our brief discussion, you gave me the privilege of inviting me to be part of your next book, which is called Living the Success Principles. And you told me to write a few pages for that book. And that dream came true so effortlessly, and that too with your invitation. This is mind-blowing for me. And I can tell you, if this is possible, anything is possible. Like I don't even remember saying that affirmation after that. It just once I put that intention out to the universe. And here you are, not only part of the community today, but you're teaching my Platinum members, and I'm going to be part of that book in a small way. So thank you. Thank you so much for making me part of that. We love you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And I always teach people, when you set a goal, don't worry about how you're going to set it, how you're going to achieve it. Only get clear about the what, not the how. So if I decide what would you really, really like? I'd like to make this many rupees a year, whatever it is. And then the how will show up just like it did for me. It's 30 days before I had an idea. People started coming into my life with Chicken Soup for the Soul when we decided we wanted to sell 1 billion books. We just started telling people that. And then people started coming out of the woodwork. Some guy from China said, I can help you get your book published in China. He appeared. We've sold 315 million copies of Chicken Soup for the Soul in China. They use it as a textbook in the schools, English on one side, Chinese on the other, to teach kids in high school English because the stories are much more interesting to the kids than traditional Chinese literature, which tends to be very flowery and not that interesting to young kids. So things will come out of the woodwork. They'll appear. It will blow your mind. But you have to, though, if you worry about how, I can't see how I'll do that, then you make a smaller goal and you make it, when you put it further out in the future. That's the thing most people do. I have them set a goal in a workshop and I'll say, how many of you put it out further in the future? Instead of 1 year, you made it 5 years out. And how many of you made it smaller than you really wanted? Half the hands go up. So then we rewrite the goal because I don't want them to be stuck there. But don't worry about the how. The how will happen out of the visualization, the affirmations you're doing. The how will be attracted to you. The how will show up unexpected. You'll be in line to get a cup of coffee at Starbucks or whatever. And all of a sudden you have a conversation with someone next to you. And it turns out they become a business partner, a client. You get married to them, whatever. But the point is, it won't happen if you don't start the law of attraction by getting clear about what you want.
Wow, thank you so much. Everybody write down in the chat window, I don't know how it's going to happen. The more you repeat that, I don't know how it's going to happen. Is that okay, Jack? Like, I don't know how it's going to happen. And it's okay to say that.
You don't need to know how. You don't need to know how. If you look at the book, The Secret, it's called Ask, Believe, Receive. And part of receiving was releasing it to the universe to let it decide how it's going to show up. That doesn't mean you shouldn't plan. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have mentors. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have strategic, all of that stuff. Right. All of that's important. Follow your intuition too. And take courses like yours and so forth. And there's other people that teach, things like how to sell real estate, how to use social media. Study those. That's useful. But quite often, the how that'll get you there was nothing that you were thinking was going to get you there. So you have to be open to things emerging that you weren't planning. That's often how it happens.
That is absolutely true. Someday when I meet you in person, I'll share my story about how I met Indu. It was totally unexpected. And believe me, Jack, in India, we have a concept called, I don't know if you know, we have a concept called arranged marriage, which means that we can get married to each other.
I'm very aware of it because a friend of mine named Anita Morjani had an arranged marriage. She ended up getting cancer, and then she had a near-death experience. And her father said, who had died, predeceased her, said, "I'm so sorry that I made you do that. That was part of the culture. I was supposed to. It's fine. You marry whoever you want right now." She came back. The cancer went away, and she's a famous author now. So yeah, I'm very familiar with arranged marriages.
Yeah. So in my case, I was fortunate enough to have a love marriage, but believe it or not, where I was 22 years ago when I met Indu, if my profile would have gone to Indu's house for a marriage proposal, I'm telling you, it was a flat out rejection. I was not even close to the kind of personality she has, and the kind of success she already had at that time. I was nowhere. Like, I was making zero income. I was not successful. I didn't have a job. There was nothing that could support me to be her life partner. I would have been never accepted as her husband. But as you say, the how doesn't matter. In unprecedented ways, I found her. Someday I'll share that story with you on a dinner time, some other time in the future. But Jack, I had this one important question for you, which I had written down so that I don't forget it. That in Law of Attraction course that I deliver many times, I say to people that manifestation is not only what you attract. Your frequency is not only about what you get, it's also about how you react when you get something. Yes. And that's where we talk about the concept of emotional patterns. I want to know, we all want to know, what are top 3 emotional frequencies that you live by, so that maybe we could learn from that frequency, we could evolve ourselves to that level of emotions. What are some of your emotional frequencies that you could share with us that you live every day?
I think probably, there's 3. I'll tell you what they are, but I'll do them one at a time. So the first one is appreciation. And we know that appreciation and gratitude is one of the highest frequencies you can have. And what happens is I do something called a rampage of appreciation, which I learned from a woman named Esther Hicks, where for about 3 or 4 minutes, I walk around my house, outside, whatever, and everything I look at, I out loud appreciate. I appreciate the camera that's sitting on top of my computer here. I appreciate you inviting me to speak in India. I appreciate the people who created the Zoom thing. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do this. I appreciate my secretary who got here 10 minutes before me and set all this up this morning. I appreciate the guy who made this shirt. I appreciate the people that published my books behind me. I appreciate the people who printed them, who boxed them up, the bookstores who carried them. So you just go, everything in your space was contributed to you by something or somebody. And most of us take it for granted.
Yeah.
I'll have people do that exercise in my live seminars on a break, 15-minute break. They come back, many of them are crying. They just are so overwhelmed with gratitude that the things they've taken for granted. And I'll have people like on a call like this, just take 5 minutes off and walk around their home and come back and tell me what happened. They go, oh my God, I appreciate this picture of my grandchildren. If I didn't have grandchildren, so that's the first thing. Recently, my wife and I started a new practice, it's literally changing our relationship. And we have a great relationship. Every day we have a book now. It's a little leather bound book. It sits in our bathroom because you want to put it somewhere where you're always going to both see it. And every day we write about a half a page of appreciation. I appreciate that you brought dinner to my office last night, knowing I was going to stay up late, and you didn't give me crap about not coming in and being part of the family. And why I appreciate that. We always say, what's the action? And then what's the quality underneath? I appreciate that you appreciate how much I work hard to be able to give us the life we have. And the fact that you appreciate that is important to me. She might write, I appreciate that you do work hard and you're, all this stuff. Recently, I appreciated her she actually went and bought some things that I like to eat that she normally doesn't want to buy from me. And she did anyway. It was an act of love. And what happens is every day we look in there to see what the other person wrote. I just get high off of it for being appreciated because my love language, I don't know if you know the 5 love languages of love, so you can be loved 5 different ways. Words of affirmation. If I tell you I love you, that's words of affirmation. Nurturing touch. Hugs, massages, shoulder massages, sex, that kind of thing. Gifts is another way. If I give you a gift, that's an expression of love.
Right.
We call acts of service. If I do something for you without you asking, right? So let's see, quality time, like just spending time with you. My wife's quality time. All I have to do is say, tell me more, honey, and I'm in, right? And for me, I like to be hugged and I like to be told I'm a great person. I did good. So so she's meeting my maiden love language, right? So that's one thing we do. And I recommend everyone try that. It is amazing what will happen. And then second, and she said to me the other day, our relationship's different because all day long I'm looking for things to appreciate about you. I used to look at things where I could be upset with you. So it's totally different.
This is amazing.
The second feeling is love. And so you want to be in a high vibration of love. And I get into that through meditation. There's a process that the Heart Math Institute created called the Quick Coherence Process, where you breathe into your heart, you imagine your heart expanding, and you send appreciation to somebody, right? So it incorporates the love and the appreciation. And then the third thing is joy. It's very important to stay doing things you love to do that bring you joy. So for me, I never listen to anything in my car except comedy albums. This comedy tapes. I get Sirius XM radio. There's 5 comedy channels. I laugh my way to wherever I'm going. I laugh my way back. We watch comedy on television, my wife and I. And so those are the 3 things that, and every great teacher of this law of attraction stuff will tell you, manifestation is preceded by appreciation and gratitude. You start by being grateful for what you already have, and then you get in touch with what you want. And I'll give you a quick little piece of research from the Heart Math Institute. They wanted to see the impact of gratitude on changing things in the external physical world. So they had strands of DNA, and these are all scientists that work up there, and they had strands of DNA, and at the end of a DNA strand, you have this little thing called a telomere, which keeps the thing from unwinding. And that way, as it unwinds over time, it gets shorter and shorter. That's why you age. The cells stop reproducing. They wanted to see if they could get the DNA to unwind and wind back up again, because DNA is a helical structure. So they basically had these people intend for the DNA to unwind. Didn't do it. Nothing happened. Then they had the people just send love and joy and gratitude to the DNA. Nothing happened. Then they had them get into a state of gratitude and appreciation and then intend for the DNA to unwind. It unwound. So what they scientifically prove to us, you have to have intention plus gratitude. The two together is what makes things happen. So it's very important to be in joy, which you have people dancing and doing their affirmations, positive thinking, and all that, but also to be in a state of joy, appreciation, and gratitude and
Wow.
love.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful technique. I love two parts which you said. One is the rampage of thank you and appreciation. That was amazing. Like 3 minutes just going across the room, which means I don't have to remember big things in my life to appreciate. I can just go in my room and appreciate every single thing that's right now in front of me. And the second thing, what I loved, what you shared was writing down. And did you say you keep it in your bathroom, right? Or the one place where you keep that diary. So you
Yeah, we
write
have a little.
something for your wife
I write something for my wife, and she writes something to me in the same
every
book
day.
every day, every day.
Oh wow! So and you just leave it for them to read it over there. You leave it
That's
for her.
right.
She leaves it to you.
That's yep, yep. And I tell you,
I
when I
love
read
that.
it, I get high off that. And when she reads mine, she'll draw little hearts and things.
Wow! I promise you, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to practice this for 30 days for sure, every day. And
Good.
if you're okay with it, I'm going to invite all the daily magic practitioners to practice every day. I'm going to remind them for full 30 days to practice that rampage of appreciation and writing for each other in the family. And you said the
Yeah.
second one was love, and the third was
Hmm.
joy.
Yep.
Wow. Love that. Thank you. And never heard that story about that you could literally heal DNA. You could unwind age or probably even reverse the DNA process just with appreciation and intention as a combination. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. That's mind blowing.
And think about this. DNA has a lot of little markers, and they can turn on and off. And so there's markers in your DNA that determine your health, your all those kind of things, your ability to think clearly and so forth. And they're able to be turned on and off. They're like switches. And when you do these
Wow.
kinds of activities and get these emotions happening, they switch. It's not the external environment. Well, the external environment affects you, but we're the only animal on earth that has the ability to change our external environment. You can redecorate your home, paint
Wow.
things different colors, wear different colors, surround yourself with, religious objects. I mean, I have all kinds of, I'm very much into Eastern things. I was a Chinese history major, so I've got Buddhas and
Wow.
Ganeshas and all kinds of things in my house that also reflect back to me what I want: consciousness, abundance with the Ganesh and so forth. So, yeah, we have the ability to do that.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your frequency with us because many times I teach platinum members also that we don't need to model what people have achieved, but we need to model their frequency. And that is why I
Yes.
asked you this question that not to copy that you wrote a book, so I need to write a book, or that you made 500, then I make a 500 billion. That's not the important part. But can I learn your frequency? Can I learn your emotions, which got you where you are today? And then rest magic will happen just by the vibrations of that. I hope I'm right about
Right.
that.
You are, I think.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. And another question is about, you know that you agreed graciously to be with us on 24th of March to deliver a half a day program only for platinum members. Could you share with us some sneak previews kind of a thing about what can we expect during that session? Because there are many existing platinum members who are attending this program right now. I want them to get curious. I want them to get excited so that they make sure they don't miss that session. And there are many people here who are joining platinum membership to make sure that they are there with you on 24th. So a little preview would get us a little more excited.
Well, one of the things I do is I teach a system. People often ask me, you got 67 principles of success in your book. Which one is the most important? And my answer back is always, if you could only keep one organ in your body, which one would it be?
Oh,
And the reality is, one organ, you could keep your lungs, but without the heart and the liver, you're not going to live, right? So
true.
it's a system. You have a system, an organic system. So I would say
Wow.
there's about 10 or 15 principles that are core that you have to do. And you have to do them the right way, at the right time, in the right order. And most people, it's like a combination lock. If you know the numbers to a combination, excuse me, it has to open. Doesn't matter if you went to college or not, if you live in India or not, you live in Indiana in the United States, it doesn't matter. IQ doesn't matter. Gender doesn't matter. If you know the combination. So think of what I'm going to teach you guys
Hmm.
as I'm going to give you the combination to the lock called success. And basically it's about, I said 10 or 15 different principles. We'll get through as many as we can in that day. But what I want to do, and they include things like getting clear about your purpose, turning that purpose into a vision, setting goals. Your goals should always be based on what your vision of what your life wants to look like in all the different areas. I know you focus on 4, I focus on 7, doesn't matter. Basically, they cover each other. And then also we want to look at how do you set a goal correctly? I mentioned earlier, most people set them too small and too far out in the future. They don't make them specific enough. We'll look at your beliefs. I think beliefs are important. You really stress that a lot. What you believe is what you get. So Napoleon Hill said, if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. But the believe it part is hard for some people. So again, belief is a choice. You just choose to believe it. You just act as if that's the way it is. What would it be like? I do an exercise in one of my seminars where I have people pretend they're millionaires for 5 minutes. We just going to mill around the room, pretend you're a multimillionaire or whatever it is. And then I stop them and the room's buzzing with energy. And I say, how do you feel right now? And they say, great. And I say, how many of you actually have $1 million reality? Not very many hands go up. How many of you acted like you did for 5 minutes? How did that feel? I felt amazing. Now get this, you did not have $1 million, but you acted as if you did. And it totally changed your entire way of interacting with people, what you talked about, how you felt. We can choose to act as if. So that's a very important principle. We'll talk about that and how to do that. And then also, belief without action is just delusional. You have to take action. Now, what actions do you take? There's obvious actions. Do you want to go to medical school? You got to take biology and biochemistry and apply to medical school. But also there's what we call inspired actions. When you start visualizing and affirming, you're going to get ideas. You'll be in the shower like my $100,000 idea. Something inside says, go over here for coffee today instead of over there. You don't know why, but you do it. And that's where you meet your business partner for the future. So we'll talk about that as well. The importance of asking. Most people don't ask enough. Now, when you're doing law of attraction, you're asking the universe, but you also need to learn to ask what I call horizontally, ask other people. You asked me to be on this program. If you hadn't asked me, it wouldn't have happened. So nothing happens in the universe without somebody asking for something or somebody offering something. I could have come to you with an offer. Hey, I'll be on your program if you let me. Or you could have called me and asked me. But most people are afraid to ask. Why are they afraid to ask? Because they're afraid of rejection.
Yes.
Fear of rejection. And I'll teach people about why it's stupid. It's dumb. If you don't ask, you've already rejected yourself, right? You've said no to yourself before you even gave anyone else a chance to, right? So, and if I ask you to have dinner with me tonight, you say no. I didn't have anyone to dinner with before I asked you. I have no one to eat dinner with after I asked you. My life did not get worse. I can go inside and say, my mom was right. He knows I chew with my mouth open. He's never going to want to eat dinner with me. I'm going to die a lonely person. Then I can feel bad. But there's nothing in there except what I do to myself, right? So we'll look at the power of asking, and I'm going to teach you some questions. Like you'd like that question, or what I said in response of, thank you for your point of view. I'll teach you a couple questions you can ask that will blow your mind to make sure you get more yeses when you ask and how to ask. And we'll also look at the power of asking for feedback. There's a tool that I learned from a guy who runs a strategic coach program that literally changed my life. And I'll teach you guys that as well. We'll talk about how do you keep yourself in action when you get rejection, when you get, obstacles. There's a wonderful book called What's in the Way is the Way. In other words, it's our ability to deal with the obstacles that helps us grow. If there were no obstacles, we'd never grow. We'd never get stronger. We'd never develop qualities like perseverance and courage and compassion and so forth. So we'll look at that. And I'll also approach this idea that it's never too late and you're never too young. So I can tell a couple of inspiring stories about that. But you'll leave with a system of success that you can begin to apply the minute you get off the course.
Mind-blowing. I'm looking forward to that. This is amazing. Thank you so much. You got me excited. And since you spoke about the last point right now, that reminded me, I know we've got only about 7 minutes before we close, keeping your value of time. When we talk about platinum membership, I remember I was doing a podcast with one of the biggest podcasters in India. And I was telling him when he asked me that, what is platinum membership? And I told him it's all about maintaining high standards and achieving success in all 4 areas of life: health, relationships, career, and money. Because what I teach people here is that success is nothing unless it is holistic in all 4 areas of life. And I remember when I gave this answer to this podcaster, he said, it's not possible. Not everybody, it's not even technically possible to achieve balanced success in 4 areas of life. And I was there to tell him it's possible. But I wanted you to share from your experience because obviously you are a living testimony of you really are successful today. I'm sorry, I'm using the word your age. You're still physically amazingly fit at this age in your health, your relationships. Obviously, you spoke about your wife, your career, everybody knows, your financial life, everybody knows. But you've been able to maintain that beautiful balance and success of high standards in all four areas of life. My question is for people here who are listening to you, is that really possible for all of us? And how do you really balance that in your life? Like a little peek in your life about how do you maintain that balance?
First, I want to say there's no such thing as balance. There's only balancing. It's a verb. It's a verb.
Ah,
It's not a noun.
wow.
Because think about someone on a tightrope, right? They never reach balance. They're always going, oh, too far this way, too far that way. They're balancing. So we constantly have to do things because let's say your mother gets sick. All of a sudden, you're focusing on that relationship. And you still need to make sure your business is working, your career is working, your health is working, and so forth.
Yes.
But you might have to adjust some things doing that. Now, to answer your question more directly, so for me, I have 7 areas I focus on. One is spiritual growth, personal development, things like that as well. Also, a contribution to the world. So, we had things. I set 3 goals in all of those areas every year. 3 goals.
Wow.
Now, I will probably achieve 75 to 80% of my goals that year, but the rest of them always come true within the next year or two. So I get everything I want, but it's done by schedule. If you have 4 areas of your life, you need to schedule. When am I going to exercise? When am I going to get these, do my yoga? When am I going to meditate, etc.? Am I going to run? Am I going to join the pickleball? Whatever the greatest craze is. But so I have it on my schedule. It's scheduled because if it's not there, I won't do it.
Wow.
Even if I'm exercising in my home gym, there's no one there to hold me accountable. I have to hold myself accountable. But if it's on my schedule, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock or 6 o'clock to 7 in the morning,
Right.
whatever, what happens is I live by my schedule. One of the things I learned really early on, do not live by a to-do list because you always do the easiest things first. It's just human nature. But if I
Mm.
schedule it, I commit to the schedule. I schedule time with my wife. We have days of the
Wow.
week that are ours. Saturday is her day. She gets whatever she wants. Sunday, I work part-time. I got the other things to do, get ready for the week. We take a month-long vacation every year. Started with 2 weeks. Now that I'm 80, we have more time, more money. A month-long vacation. We go to Hawaii for a month. We bring my
Wow.
grandson out to our house for a month. We schedule some long weekends. We schedule a date night, every week. So we schedule time with friends. Every 2 weeks, we go to dinner with somebody. So it's on the schedule. Same thing
Wow.
with my career. I schedule time to write. I schedule X number of podcasts, like what we're doing today, or interviews, etc. And when I fill up with those, I say no, because otherwise it'll
Mm.
take me out of balance.
Right.
Um, and so every area of my life is in my. I use the Google
Wow.
Calendar system. So calendaring it, setting time to time for it. People say, "Oh, I want to be an author." Great. When are you writing? I wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul every night, 7 nights a week from 10 o'clock till midnight. My wife would go to bed at 10 unless we were scheduled to be romantic that night. What would happen is I would write from 10 until midnight. She would be snoring. I would be writing. I wrote two
Wow.
stories a week. In one year, I had a book. Think about this, everybody, especially you author people. You want to write a book, but you haven't done it. 1 page a day. End of year, 365-page book.
So
So
true.
it's a little bit of time, micro actions, we call them. Just do little things. You don't have to write a
Wow.
book in a weekend.
Amazing. I'm going to remember that schedule romantic time with my wife. I mean, I'm surprised you literally schedule even that. That is beautiful.
Well, here's the deal. You talk to any relationships expert, they'll tell you the first 3 to 7 years, it's called spontaneous desire. You see your
Yeah.
wife, and all of a sudden you just want, oh, we're done do it. But the point is, when you get to your 50s and 60s, it doesn't have much anymore. It's like you have to schedule time, and we get into bed without our clothes on, and we snuggle, and maybe it turns into sex, maybe it doesn't. But the point is, we create a space for it every Saturday,
Wow.
usually around 3 p.m. That's our committed time. And mostly it does turn into that. But if it doesn't, it's fine. We're just together nurturing each other. So, but you
Wow.
have to put it on a calendar, or you could go a month without doing it. And that affects your relationship.
Wow. Balancing with scheduling. Love that. Thank you so much. And before you leave, Jack, when is the book? Can we expect the release of Living the Success Principles? And can you tell us what's the difference between the success principles and living the success principles?
Yeah. So we have a 20th anniversary edition of the Success Principles coming out in March. And then also, and it's all updated. It's got stuff about AI and online. There's a whole success in the digital age section, which wasn't there. I mentioned earlier, Zoom didn't even exist when we wrote the first book. TikTok did not exist. Twitter had not happened yet. So things have really evolved over time. So there's that. And then the book that your story will be in is coming out probably in the fall of this year. I'm still doing some editing and putting it together and all of that, but I'm excited about it. And we've got stories from people from about 15 different countries, proving that it works anywhere. And it's just stories of ordinary people getting extraordinary success because they applied the principles. We always say the principles always work if you always work the principles, but you have to do them. You have to do them.
Amazing. Thank you. Looking forward to that book. I promise you, the moment the book is released for even a pre-booking, I'm going to share it with everybody in DMP and Platinum, and we are definitely reading it together. Thank you so much.
Good.
We love you for everything you've shared with us. Lots of beautiful, amazing golden nuggets. I'm going to do a recap of this with the community later. But thank you so much. And we are super excited to meet you on the 24th of March. Any last few words you want to tell us about how's been your experience working with me, with Indu, and how was the DMP for you, and how do you like our community so far?
Well, I love you guys. You're both so full of energy and alive, and you're walking the talk. You're exuding that energy, the vibration. You know, it's palpable. You can see it on your faces all the time. So we've only had one conversation, some emails back and forth. This is the second time, and I absolutely love you guys. I love your team. You know, you've got some wonderful people on your team, and based on the dancing, I think I probably love everyone in your community.
Thank you.
It's really good. So you're bringing people along. And I would tell you, one of the key principles of success is surround yourself with people like the person you want to be. So literally, so many people belong to what I call the Ain't It Awful Club, where they sit around and bitch and moan and complain about how bad things are, instead of belonging to a group who focus on how great things are. I believe the universe is always presenting you with opportunities to grow, and sometimes they're challenging, but the universe has your back. One of my big beliefs is everything that happens is for my highest good, including a divorce, including somebody getting sick, you know, whatever, that it's an opportunity. And when I live my life that way, and you guys are part of that now, and I see that you live your life that way as well, what happens is life works. So I love working with you. I look forward to the 24th. I think what you've accomplished numerically with the people you've impacted in India is really astounding. So it's going to do nothing but grow, because it'll grow because it is essentially good. High vibration attracts more people, and you're doing that. So keep up the good work. I'm glad to be part of it.
I would have never done it if I'd not read your book, if I had not seen those big goals that you set, got me thinking and got me manifesting and attracting this beautiful woman in my life who made me who I am today. So thank you to my mom, dad, to you, and to Indu. Indu, you want to say thank you to Jack before he leaves? You'll have to unmute, Indu.
Thank you so much, Jack. Thank you. I have already taken notes of a lot of nuggets you have delivered. And I'm superbly looking forward to 24th of March. I'm sure it's going to be one of the best days of our life.
Yes.
Very good.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Jack.
Sure.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Before you leave, one last time, may I request the community to unmute, say thank you to him, say I love you to him for all the
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I love you, Jack.
Thank you very much.
So much. Love you, Jack.
Thank you.
The man and Mitesh.
Jack, so much for
Thank
adding so
you.
much
Love
valuable
you.
information.
Towards you. Thank you so
Love you, Jack.
much. Thank you, community.
Okay.
So there we are, Jack. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
We love you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Whoa, that happened. This was crazy. Oh my God. Everybody unmute. Give me one word. How was that?
Awesome.
Amazing.
Awesome. You said
Magical,
performance
amazing.
amazing. She is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing him.
Amazing.
My God, I should be thanking all of you. I would have not done this if it wouldn't be for the community. I would have not done this if we wouldn't have that idea which Indu planted as a seed that we should bring Jack for Platinum members. We would have never done this without you. And that is why we would have not met him, Jack, personally without adding value to yours life. So thank you. We love you all and thank you so much. But I'd love to know by some of you, how many of you want to share how was your experience with Jack? How many of you would love to share that before we leave tonight? And don't go, and I'll tell you why. Because 24th of March, Jack is coming in. we are giving something new for platinum members, which is crazy. And I'm going to reveal that in the next 10 minutes after we hear 3 or 4 people sharing. A lot of people keep asking me what is platinum, and that is why I've created a completely new deck on what platinum is. We are adding much more value to what it is, and the biggest announcement of platinum is going to happen tonight. Platinum members, wait for it. You're going to go crazy about that. Just wait. Give me 10 minutes. All right. So who wants to share? How was your experience listening to Jack? All right. Here we go. Starting with Arvind. Go for it. Yes, Arvind.
Thank you so much, Mitesh. It was mind blowing. I think so many things we are already following, and it is just a reassurance hearing from the man who is already successful. Thank you so
True.
much. I made so much of notes, and I think more than this, we are already doing in the platinum. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
implanting all this ideology and all this rituals on a day-to-day basis. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Arvind. Thank you. Thank you so much. And with that, everybody unmute. Give him a high five. Congratulations for living life platinum standards.
Congratulations,
Congratulations
for living life
For
platinum
living
standard.
life platinum.
Congratulations.
Medical life.
And here we go to Manas. Yes, Manas, what would you like to share? How was your experience with Jack? Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
So amazing, so awesome, sir. Actually, I was just remembering that what each and everything you are mentioning, not only that, recently I attended your advanced wealth mastery, and I was seeing that each and everything was to the points, and the more importantly is what he mentioned about the rampage of gratitude.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It was since 2009, I believe. Yes, 2009. And I was so much reflecting on myself, own lives, about internalizing myself. And there are like, it was, I think, engineering. I started the first year, and there like so many friends were criticizing about me and other things. We were trying to do something so wonderful for the people. And then I started thinking, okay, I will write for those who are criticizing me, I will write about good about them.
Wow.
And there was
Appreciating.
yeah, then there was a notice board, whole big notice board, and we are staying at 10 people together, and I
Wow.
one A4 page each for 10 people, and the whole board was filled up with them.
Brilliant.
See myself, the all the negative things I was thinking about them for a moment also, that's gone. But
Amazing. That's called rampage of appreciation. Beautiful idea. Congratulations, Manas. Thank you for sharing. And congratulations for being part of Jack's session today. Everybody unmute. Give him a high five. Congratulations for magical experience.
Congratulations for magical
Congratulations for
experience.
magical Congratulations.
And going to Rita. Yes, go for it.
Hi,
Yes,
sir.
Rita.
Thank you
Hi.
so much for
Most
bringing
welcome.
him to and yours and your Indu ma'am's love is like the flow, water flow without any break. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for doing this for us.
Most
And
welcome.
I had I am always a fan of this Jack Canfield, but I never got a chance to attend a live session like this. It was always like a webinar model. Never had the opportunity to see him like this, and this is the first time. And even if he is doing something live, it's very costly. It's not
Yes.
easy for us to afford. And this opportunity for us is like absolutely free. And 24th half day is again absolutely free. That's
You're
like
going to have interactions with
miracle
him,
for us.
question answers, everything. You're going to have more access to him on that day.
I'm super excited for that. And today I had two big takeaways, and one is definitely the rampage of appreciation.
Yeah.
And then another one is that balancing. There is no balance,
Yeah.
but it's balancing. So
Balancing.
we
That is
always try
beautiful.
to balance, and then we are like, oh, I'm not able to balance. I have to focus on that. And he was very beautifully teaching us that it's okay if somewhere else you need the
Yeah.
attention today. Someone is sick, you can go there and give your attention there,
Right.
but then come back and balance here in health and
Absolutely.
other things. So that was very big takeaway for us. And
Awesome.
thank you so much
Most
to you
welcome.
and
Most
Indu,
welcome.
especially for Indu ma'am, because she is the one who is going to all these
That's true.
big
She's the one who
names
made this
and
happen.
bringing her. Yeah. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Everybody unmute. Give her a high five. Congratulations for living life platinum standards.
Congratulations
Living
for
life
living life
Life
platinum.
platinum standard.
Since we're talking about Indu, let's bring in Indu. Let's see what was her favorite lesson of the day. What do you want to share, Indu? How was your lesson of the day? I know that's a surprise spotlight, but go ahead.
It is. I was not prepared.
People feel incomplete without your sharing. Come on.
So for me also, rampage of appreciation was the biggest one. And I
Yes.
like the idea of keeping that book in the
I'm going to
washroom.
do that every day starting tonight. We did that once in a while on WhatsApp, but we never did it like a diary, like a ritual every day. We'll do it from today.
Yes, I like the idea of writing. WhatsApp is also fine, but I like the idea.
Yeah.
And I like what he said that his wife shared that instead of looking for the negatives, she
Mhm.
started looking for the positives because she has to write next day morning in the appreciation book, which I thought was a very good.
Yep.
And second, of course, rampage of appreciation. Anyways, gratitude is my favorite,
Yes.
so
Amazing.
I like that.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. You remember you've decided that particular date. Do you want to reveal to Platinum members? Not necessarily the date, but that you have decided to launch that day, which we do every year.
What do
They've
mean?
been, yeah. Okay, look at half the people. I can see their expressions already. Go ahead, introduce.
Okay, so
And
we are going
remember,
to
there are
do
many members who don't know what it is.
yeah, so we are going to do One Day Miracle Meet on 10th and 11th of May.
Date is confirmed.
Yeah. I have confirmed it with Imran, Modit, and Manvi. So it is, we are doing it on 10th, 11th of May. I'll
Awesome.
get the details and everything rolling in few days' time. But yeah, we'll do it on 10th and 11th of May.
Yeah. Awesome. So that was the surprise for the Platinum members. We are doing one day miracle meet, which you do only once in a year, but this time we're going to do 2 days, and I'll tell you why. The second day is going to be completely dedicated to making you one of the greatest life coaches in the world. The full day, we're going to dedicate only on that. So it's going to be a 2 full days workshop, right? Into 10th and 11th, did you say? Awesome.
Yep.
So let's look forward to that
And this
personal
time,
meeting.
yeah, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
This time it's going to be only and only for Platinum members. No,
Yeah.
only paid Platinum members. It's
Yeah.
not going to be available for anybody, no guest, no spouse, no free member, nothing. It's only and only paid Platinum members will be attending this program.
Yeah, and the reason being that now the Platinum family has grown so much that the moment we now increase those numbers, non-Platinum, it's going to be too many people. That's one. The second reason is we are planning to introduce some very special experiences only for Platinum members, and that is why this time it's only for Platinum. So Platinum members, even in your family, this time, like last time we allowed spouses and friends, you were allowed to bring your uncle or whoever you wanted to. Some of you brought your office colleagues also for one day miracle meet. This time, it's only for Platinum, but I promise you it's going to be one of the most powerful experiences of your life. As you know, we call the day One Day Miracle Meet. So all of you unmute. Give me one word. How do you feel about the One Day Miracle Meet day?
Yes!
Super
Super
excited.
amazing. Oh my God, I can't